let's get into Housewives, though. Let's get into Potomac. So we get Wendy. We start the show off. It's Wendy, her husband, and they're talking about how, she went to meet up with Peter, and that to open this Nigerian restaurant slash daycare center, it would cost $1.6 million, where she would only put in 300,000 of it because she would only get a percentage of it. And he just seemed like very much not into it. Like, he seemed very much like, if this was off camera, my attitude would be very different.
Yes. He's like,
And
girl, how do you have time for this?
and it's also like, girl, well, what about the candles? What's going on with the candles? Like, do you have money for this? Like,
What is going on? $300,000 is still a lot of money, even when you got money. So what are you doing?
right.
And also, and she was saying how like, oh, and I don't, because I can't be there all the time. I'm like, do you not know restaurant life? Like, yeah, you don't want to be there all the time, but this is still a major investment for your family, clearly, because your husband
Yep.
is like, 300, how much? You better be there as much as humanly possible. Restaurants have the highest failing rate of what? Any new startup business? Girl,
Bobo. Yeah.
girl. And we know
She's
history.
right. I think she's just living in a la la land.
Maybe
Uh,
she just like, oh, Peter's in town. Let's pretend like we're starting.
right. Like, what's a good way we can get a crossover going? Then I thought it was just funny. She brings up to him how she's upset that Robin didn't invite her to the family whatever day. It's like what do they call it? The family fun day. And it's like, you sitting here like, you know what, you messing with my kids. Like, my kids can't play. My kids can't play. Like, when it's about kids, so concerned about the kid. And the whole time, I don't know if the editors did this. I'm sure they did on purpose. And the whole time, the little kid's like, Mommy, play with me. And she's like, pushing the daughter aside, like, Mommy, play with me. Go back and watch it, how many times that girl asked for her mother to play with her.
With
And this
her.
woman was more concerned with her camera time. But you concerned about not
The
being
key.
invited to family fun day because you're a kid or because you weren't gonna get camera time. Wonder. Um, so Robin comes up with an idea for
Terrible.
Candace to take
Terrible.
Wendy's kids.
Terrible.
Horrible idea. It's so
Terrible.
disrespectful. Like, Robin, would you give Candace your kids?
No. And forget the giving Candace part. Why would I send my children to a place that I'm not welcome at?
Well, that period.
Like point blank, like off the top of the everything. Forget maybe Candace is like super because Candace do technically have kids because her husband has two children, and so we never see them on camera, but like she's mothering and doing these things. But I'm just like, girl, what I look like sending my children somewhere where you clearly have a problem with me and I'm not welcome to come to? Absolutely
Mm,
not. I would never,
never.
never,
Um,
ever,
We
ever.
also got a Karen and Raven moment. They were living their best lives. Then we got Ashley and her publicist, and they were discussing about how the blogs were released Ashley and Michael's divorce early, and that someone, I'm sure we'll probably find out that one of the girls mentioned something about it. Um, Dustin Brown says, "How about Juan being like, that's a good compromise?" What?
How
Okay,
long he don't he didn't know what to say. He don't even want to be on camera. Juan is not even trying to be a part of this life, but he knows he needs the checks. So he
that
just up something.
yeah, Juan. I don't know, because also I'm like, in the preview for next week, we hear something about like someone questioning Robin talking about the prenup, and she was talking about cheating, and then I'm just like, how you have family fun day and where's Juan?
Juan didn't come because Juan ain't family. They have to be doing this for TV. This cannot be a real life person that you are trying to be with. The way there is
Okay,
no
but you have to think.
camera.
But I'm telling you, you can't tell me Juan it wasn't Juan's idea for Family Fun Day. There's no way Robin was like, yeah, I want to do like tag and potato sacks. Like Juan was supposed to facilitate that whole thing. That's why it was chaotic.
I
And
feel like they came together and she's like, "Oh, I need to do an event for the show." And he was like, "Why don't you do like a field day?" Like, and she was like, "Oh, that's a good idea. Will you help
it
me?" And he was
was
like, "No." And she was like, "Come on, you got to help me. Like, at least let's
oh
practice
like
on."
oh, do you think she's like one of those people like she like drops breadcrumbs like it's like oh
Oh,
he might be interested because it's something he likes to do.
exactly, 100%. Like
Okay.
I don't buy. I don't know. I mean, look, we only see a very small amount of their lives and their time, but like they don't seem interested in each other for real ever, in my
No.
opinion. Even though they're supposed to be on the road back to marriage, but Juan is cute though. I like him.
He fine.
He real
One fine.
cute.
I'm not gonna lie. He
Real
was
cute.
fine and still is fine.
He's looking in that gray in his beard, looking a little aged. I'm like, ooh, Juan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You may not be shit, but you fine.
but
Um,
maybe he is, in his old age, he's just not meant to be with Robin.
possibly. Someone who was excited to be with somebody was Mia. She was so excited when Gizelle picked her to be a part of her team. She's like, okay. And I was so mad that Giselle picked that wig as well
But we're
because
always mad at Giselle's wigs, y'all. Like, what's happening? I think she does it on purpose at this point. Like, she has to.
I don't think so because for her to ask Andy to take that clip out of BravoCon and he really did it, it must really affect her.
But then why she don't? It's easy to get good wigs in 2022.
And
Like, this isn't
easy to get
hard.
good clothes, but she doesn't choose to do it. Like,
Well, but like good clothes, but style is different. Cause I bet she spends good money on her clothes. She just has no sense of style
and I
and
bet
doesn't
she
know.
spends good money on that wig. It
There's
looked
no way.
a
No.
girl. I worked for a hair company. We had crazy looking wigs that were wild amounts of money.
Well,
That
I guess
look.
that goes back to her like lack of style. Like she doesn't
That's what I'm
know how
saying.
to style herself. And
Yeah,
but
it's given
why?
Britney Spears.
Not even. But yeah, the struggle. I want better for her, but
All right. So we got. I did like that Karen didn't like that Wendy wasn't invited. She thought she was like, look, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta be grown. This is like, we gotta act like ladies, and it's not that serious. The kids are here. We all gotta come together, pull the bootstraps up, and hang out. Dustin Brown says, I like how Andy took it out and then he talked about it. Shady con. Betty Ann, talk about Tokyo Tony and everything she is doing. Oh,
Ciao. What's Tokyo doing?
I don't know what she's doing, but all right, I'm gonna look it up.
Oh,
We're
nope.
gonna talk about it next week. Although I did see that she did go on live with Jaguar Wright.
Tokyo went on with Jaguar?
Mm-hmm.
Oh Lord Jesus.
Um, but all right, well, I'll look that up. That's interesting.
Like what is happening?
I want to get Tokyo Tony on here, and I really feel like I can do that. But so we'll see. Karen, I'm allowed to take a sick day. Yo,
I got the hell out of there.
Karen lost it. And you know when someone loses it is when you can't even say nothing, like you can't finish a sentence and you never stop. Like she didn't know what direction to go into. She was just like
How do I get out? How do I get out? How do I get out? How do I
what
get
when where what? And I
out?
really wonder if it's her being scared or if it's anger to the point where she has to instantly remove herself. And just to bring this back, last week remember we were talking about how she alleged that um someone's husband on the show touched her
Yes.
inappropriately, and we
Yes.
thought maybe it was Mia's man because remember that whole situation with her. But then in this episode, he was the one to walk her back. So
Yeah.
I would really hope that you wouldn't. So I don't think it's him. Because I would think that if you have that perception of him now, you wouldn't put yourself in situations like how Gizelle put herself in a situation with Chris and the
Exactly. Well, that's,
closing.
I mean, there is a couple of bloggers that were inferring that it really was Chris for her too, and that's why she didn't want to say who it was, because if it were anybody else, including Mia's man, I assume, because she called out Mia's man last season when he was, being a little bit drunk and fresh, and she made a comment about it on camera, but she would definitely say if it was Michael Darby, because like
Right.
everybody has Michael
Million
Darby.
percent.
And like Juan's just never there. Like I just don't see it being him. So it's like maybe it was Chris. And then she has a relationship with Candace, so she doesn't want to make it worse for Candace, and she handled it off camera with Candace possibly, and that's why she wasn't trying to co-sign with Gizelle, but not entirely dismissing what Gizelle said.
All right, fair enough.
Because she didn't pull the Robin. Robin was like, girl, that was nothing. Karen was like, well, he didn't touch you. I had a situation where somebody touched me. Da-da. So, like, yes, a woman is allowed to have her feelings, but, whatever. So I think maybe it is Chris.
Maybe. All right. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't see that for Chris, though. I just
I don't either,
don't.
because I think Chris is cool and great and wonderful, and I can't imagine. But I don't know that he even means it that way. Maybe he just has a drink and gets
Yeah,
friendly.
I feel like it's Sharice's man, and she's just trying to allude to something just because she hates her so much. And she wants to allude, like, bitch, he didn't want you. He actually wanted me, girl. I feel like her
But you
reasoning for saying something.
Sharice's man like before they even started the show, because Sharice's man was gone when they started doing the show.
No, I think whatever Karen's saying is a lie, personally.
Oh,
But I feel like, I mean, I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to come out here and say that about her because whatever, girl, sexual harassment.
real. That shit is
My employer didn't believe me either, girl. So you know what? Hey, whatever. Moving on. Dustin says Robin needs to make a choice. Does she believe Chris or Gizelle? She's been waffling on Watch What Happens line. Waffling. I've never heard of that term before.
You ever heard waffling back and forth, going back and forth?
What's that would have to do with a waffle?
It's just waffling, like it's wavering.
Oh, okay. All right, I like that.
I'm gonna run around saying waffling now.
Wait, really off subject. Did you see that Kellogg made a blue waffle? And do you know what a blue waffle is if you Google it?
I definitely did not see that. I know that something is gross about a blue waffle because somebody has told me to Google it and I didn't. So
I'm pretty
saying,
sure I told you to Google it, and I feel
like
like
it's probably you.
I feel like you did. Or I feel like I Googled it next to you and showed it to you. But that was random. But anyways, all right. So back to this. I don't know. I feel like deep down she believes Chris, but she can't fully admit it because she wants to keep the story going. I think Gizelle even knows that it's like we're dragging it here, but we need a storyline. We're gonna play it up a little bit, and that's what get Candace mad right now, because Candace knows like y'all are really about to put on a William Shakespeare performance right now, like with my husband.
Yeah, they know they ain't shit. And whatever. Because again, they like Gizelle made it clear that like Chris didn't do anything to her. It was how she felt being alone in the room with him, and
Right.
how.
Okay, Crystal from Beverly Hills. Candace is late.
Really dark. It was really dark. It was really dark.
It's really dark. Candace is late. She says hi to everyone but Gizelle. Ashley tells everyone that Michael's getting a vasectomy. And then Mia's friend was like, talking about how she was like, "Oh yeah, my man used to ask for threesomes like all the time." Like, what world do we live in, you guys? Like, this is not normal. This is not normal. And now I get like why Love and Hip Hop, like I did it all the time. Like I understand why I did the after show for it. Because this is not normal life, you guys. The conversation, like I really wish they had more editing on the eyes of everyone around them, because the fact that this girl felt so comfortable, like she wanted to hop in the conversation, like it was just so cool. Oh yeah, talking about I'm attracted to people. Like, okay, so you're bisexual. I don't even know what I am yet. I haven't discovered myself yet. Like, girl, you're married with a husband. I hope you've discovered yourself. Like, your discovering should be done. Unless you and your husband are open in doing relationships and things like that. But, like, discovering yourself, how?
Her husband. I thought
Huh?
that wasn't her husband. That wasn't her husband.
Who was
Because she
that?
called him her PP.
Oh,
She
okay.
called him her PP, that her parenting partner. And like there was a whole thing. So I don't know that they're actually married. I think they were just like in a relationship and now that's her baby daddy and they're still kind of in a relationship. Like I don't know if they're married. I was confused. I don't
Oh,
know.
fair enough. I could be confused then too. Oh, okay. What is going on here? I love when you guys write tea and feed
Yeah.
me. All right. So Dustin says, I feel like Robin needs to admit that Gizelle bringing it up on the basis of Ashley's DM is whack. Agreed. She supported her friend thus far. Candace should be kissed. Um,
Pissed.
Pissed. Okay. Oh, all right. Yep. There we go. I was like, kissed? What? That might add to the problem of sexual harassment. Chad Peters says it's all of the colorism. Ooh. Do you think?
There's a lot of conversation about colorism
I
on
was just
Potomac.
gonna say.
And
Do you see that with the girls? Do you feel
I'm
like that's?
like, do I? And I'm because I'm usually like fairly sensitive and aware to it. And I just don't. I mean, I think that there's a certain level of like Gizelle and Robin feeling their own way about each other and the, green-eyed bandits. But I don't really get a strong like because everybody's like, oh, Wendy is getting like X'd out because she's dark skinned and they do Candace this way because she's dark skinned. And I'm like, Candace has shown her ass enough to get the edit that she gets. Like I feel like none of them are likable women.
Yeah.
And so and for that
Honestly, except for Ashley, I
except
genuinely
for
have
Ash,
grown to like when Ashley was walking up with the kids at the park. I was like, it was just something so endearing about it, and it was like Ashley really is main character quality. Like, I'm interested. Like, I'm here for her. I truly feel like she does stay out of the drama, and when she is in the drama, I feel like genuinely it's because she was asking from a curious place or place of concern, and if it was something out of place, she usually does own up to it
yeah,
personally. And I feel like that's why I've grown to like her, because I did not like her at the very beginning. But I
I
totally agree with you. I really think I love to hate these women. Like,
yeah.
I love
And
Karen.
all of them. Like, and I love Karen, but also I can't stand her sometimes because it's fake and it's grandeur, like illusions of grandeur. Like, it's weird. But I just going back to the colorism thing, it's bothersome to me because I'm like, there was a lot of conversation about Candace getting so much flack for being like aggressive and rude and all of this stuff when Ashley did the same things like at certain points and would say just as harsh things to her, blah blah blah. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said Ashley seems to own up to her mess and her wrong, like from the beginning when she was like asking about freaking Juan and Robin's situation when they first met and stuff, like that was hella awkward and out of place and whatever. So I feel like she came into her ownership of her, shadiness and whatever. But I feel like Candace feels like she is justified in all things and is
Yeah.
a brat. Like she is a brat. At least that's
Mm-hmm.
how she's coming off on screen. So to say that it's because of colorism, I'm like, she's a brat, and I like Gizelle just as little as I like Candace, and I on their sides when I'm on their sides, and it's not more often on Gizelle because she gets a better edit than Candace. Like they both suck sometimes. So
Yeah,
I
and
don't know.
I look at yeah, and I look at Wendy like it's just like, oh, I just don't think she should be on the show personally. I think Wendy ostracized herself with the women and just kind of is like one of those people, like, I hate to say it because I low-key feel like my mom is this person, but like it's like she can totally, like, if we're in an argument, like it's like she can totally remove that and like stop it and like have a totally different conversation about something else and like put that one on. It's like, well, what? Like we can't just like ignore that, like all of this I'm not going to ignore that all this happened, like. And so, and but that's obviously a family member to me. This is like her with these women that they have no relationship with. So I feel like all the women, it's getting to a point of all the women being done with Wendy, and it gets to the point of there's no place, like, I mean, the baby story, I don't even like her relationship is weird to me. She's not.
It's also too, and I think Wendy kind of shot herself in the foot last season because that was her second season, right? Where she got all the
Mm-hmm.
body work done, and like she was like, "Oh, you're just hating because I'm a body person now," and like she was being overly sexy, in my opinion, based on what she was the first season, constantly reminding people about all of her degrees and how smart she was, and that's all you're supposed to know about her. And maybe she was just finding her way that first season, and so she was resting on smart, and then she wanted to rest in ratchet a little bit more for the second season, and now we're in her third season, and it's like I don't know what to do with Wendy.
Well, the thing
Like,
is, I feel like Wendy's trying to give Kenya, like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, she's kind of like the neutral villain, but it's like, but in reality, you're Robin. Like, you need someone else to feed off of because you're not that girl.
yeah,
Like, I hate to be like that, but you're not. You are not Gizelle.
yeah,
Giselle needs Robin because she needs to make fun of Robin to make herself feel better and look better and be the, you know, the queen of the two. But I feel like Wendy is the Robin of, but she don't got her Batman. And she tried making Peter her Batman. And it's like, girl, this ain't Real Housewives of Atlanta
like,
stuff.
well, she kind of tries to make Candace her back Batman, I guess. I don't
No,
know.
she did
And,
try to, but Candace is in her own world at this point. Candace just like, look, I'm showing up for the check, and
yeah,
I'll tell you if I like doing the scene or not. And right now, I'm mad because my man's involved. So
yeah,
next
because y'all
week we see Karen. We get the Karen cheating rumor. We get a Wendy's burn session, which is so funny because one time, I don't think you were there for this. I don't think you were at my house for this. But one year for New Year's, um, it was when I was friends with Lisette and Nicolette, and they were at the house, and it was New Year's, and my friend Lisette, she's like very into like just crazy different things. She wanted to write on the paper this paper, like we had to write our like things we wanted to let go and trauma and like
you
all
burn
that
it.
stuff, and then we burned it in this metal bowl and like say a prayer. And Nicolette is total opposite of that, like that like totally freaks her out, and like it was so funny of Nicolette like freaking out. Like it was one of the funniest things. So to see this scene, because like I'm sure a lot of people are like, okay, this is dramatic. No, I could so see this happening because this happened to me before, and I think it's hilarious. So Wendy's doing this burn session, and Candace is like, "Look, that is voodoo." And honestly, if you watch the Surreal Life, Tamar just had a moment with this because
Yeah,
Stormy Reed was doing tarot cards, and Tamar was like, "Girl, I want to know nothing about nothing." So we'll get that, and then we get the dinner fight where Robin is yelling. I don't really know who she was yelling at, but then we get Candace yelling at Ashley, and this upsets me because
yeah. I thought they.
I like them together. I like them as friends.
Oh,
I want them to be, because I don't know, there's just something about their vibe that I feel like together they're I like it.
Because they're both young and fun and like wanted families, and like they should be like pregnant together and like having their kids have play dates and getting drunk together on the play dates while the kids are playing and like talking smack and just being beautiful and fancy free. And like, why are they fighting? Like, what are they mad about with each other?
Mm,
It's a bizarre. It
I
sucks.
don't know. It's not as cookie cutter clear as it is
But
over in
I
Salt
was gonna
Lake
say
City.
though, real quick, Dustin, he said that Wendy could have used a Monique right now. Too bad she outcasted her. I completely agree. I know that Monique is like on her own other show, but Potomac and Monique right now would still be good, and I think that that would have been a good dynamic.
1,000,000%. The show's missing something. And Mia is not it. Mia's
Mia,
not it. And Wendy's not it. So
no,
either both of them gotta go or one of them gotta go.
yeah,
That's what I feel like.
agreed.
All right, let's get into Salt Lake City. So,
Poor child. I don't fell asleep on Salt Lake City. I ain't gonna lie, but go ahead.
uh, I mean, I thought this was good, and then next week gonna get real good. All right, so we get Coach Shaw and Jen. They're at like he like took her to
At the bouncy
the
house place.
bouncy house thing, which is fun with kids, but like for I don't know, I'm just like
It's a
what?
good workout for older
Okay,
folk.
but like he knows his wife. This was not a Jen Shaw thing. So whatever,
He's
they
trying to get
took her there.
her mind off of the darkness.
Okay. And he takes her there and she says to him that Lisa told her that Angie's husband Chris created an account called Shahxposed, which is still up and actively asking questions in the stories about what people think about Jen Shah, if she's guilty or uh, other things. um, she then also told Heather about this, and she actually then told Heather that within questioning if this was an actual thing, that then Chris called her after Angie said that there was no way that Chris would be involved in this. Chris called Jen to tell her that he was. So
It
she
was
says to Heather, "What are you going to do about it?" Well, Heather says, "What are you going to do about it?" She says, "No, what are you going to do about it?" Because remember last week, Heather showed her alliance with Lisa and Angie. She chose Angie by inviting Angie to the ski slope. You know, she's like, "I wasn't thinking about you, girl. I'm so sorry."
because we're not friends for real.
Right. Um,
Sorry.
I'm interested to see what Heather's gonna do because this is like Heather said, this is a big deal. That is a big deal because this is a grown man creating.
It's so weird. Like, can we just talk about like you're a grown man on Instagram? You got a whole job, a whole family, and you're not even just a grown man. You're like a grown older man. You're not like, you know,
Assuming
25.
successful too, like
I assume successful. You got a whole career, a family. Are you a journalist? Like, is he a writer? Like, what is his job? Why would he be drawn to start housewives drama? Even if it's for his wife to try to get her a spot on the show, I can't imagine any man I'm married to doing that.
I just gotta think like the embarrassment and the lowness that we are in our life to sit at home and think, hey, like, babe, I really want to get on the show and like we gotta think of something good. I have an idea, babe. I'm gonna create an Instagram account. The drama. So already we're starting off like a false reality
It's so
on
absurd. It's
reality TV, right? So I don't care. I don't want this. Everything Angie has been involved in at this time has been questioned. It's
yeah.
been questionable. So to me, it's like you're giving Cherie, but at least Cherie's entertaining. Sheree. Excuse me, Sheree. I always do that.
So, oh, you're talking about
She
Atlanta.
by Sheree. You're all,
Okay.
she gives me that energy because it's like Sheree really doesn't have a point, but at least she's funny and entertaining.
Yes.
And, Angie,
Angie,
you just throwing bones for nothing. Like you ain't even throwing bones. You throwing like.
teenage girl nonsense.
And then
Like,
like so Meredith is with Angie at the dinner with the husbands, and like the fact that he laughed about it, and like first of all the fact that he openly said this to
he's
two
like, I
other
did
grown
it. Like,
to
it's
two
me.
other grown accounts. And Meredith, I love Meredith's husband, but like when he was like, at the end of the day, I did it because I was trying to protect my wife. You were trying to protect your wife. Oh yeah, okay. When you put it like that, no,
From what,
no,
sir? From what?
your
How
wife
make
was
this? I
never in danger by anyone on the cast of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City,
I'm so
other
confused. Like,
than
I
Mary
just,
Crosby, and she's off the show.
I miss Mary.
Miss Mary Mac.
Miss Mary Mac, because her commentary and her face, like, I'm, yeah. But this man, like, whatever. I don't get
Well,
it.
I want to know if there's something else too, because Meredith mentioned, she said, well, okay, so you guys created the account and whatever else you did. I want to know whatever else you did. Because if it was just the account that
Are
they were talking.
they, what do you, are they, do they know something? Like, could be, you know how like initially Jen was like, oh, Meredith like is the reason I like informed the feds or whatever. Like, is Angie somehow intertwined with Jen in a way that they are the
Oh.
rat? And they
Ooh.
just were like, yeah, we're gonna expose all of this because you're not gonna take my wife down, like whatever. Like that's all I can think of. That like
I could
some
see
kind of
that.
way they have information and are a part of making Jin Shaw get brought down.
I could see that. Chad
Because
says Jen Shaw is guilty and was doing full theatrical shows during the season. She's been doing full theatrical shows since
since
season
she
one
started
and been guilty since season one.
and been guilty, so yeah.
Um, so within that dinner conversation, too, Meredith also says that Lisa is also rumored to be making fake accounts as well, which that was all we got. We don't know what else that stems from that, so hopefully we'll see it coming up. Whitney Rose and her husband Justin. So we find out Justin's getting fired from, or got fired from his job, which he cried about and felt he needed to write an Instagram post about, which I also thought was really weird. Maybe like the men in Salt Lake are just more sensitive or something, like,
Maybe I'm being too judgmental. I'm sorry.
because I'm also like, first of all, I wouldn't want anyone knowing my business. If I was fired, I wouldn't feel like I need to post it on social media. I mean, I guess he's like, I'm on TV, so people would know. I don't know. But it's also like, your wife, like, yeah, you got whatever job you have. Like, I know my dad wouldn't like get like down to his underwear and like roll around in
Crawl
paint,
around and get spanked by his wife on
you
television.
know what I
Like,
mean, and expect to like walk into work the next day like,
hi
yeah,
guys.
without them being like,
Oh.
John,
Like, hey buddy, this isn't really the vibe for our company. Like, sorry.
like, what's
And
going
the whole
on?
like Whitney being like, oh my god, they're upset because you have an independent wife who has a career that's doing really well. And like,
That's
what does
based
that have
off
to
all
do?
your financials.
Like, boo, what does that have to do with you like spanking him in his underwear on camera?
It has nothing to do with it. What it has to do with her deflecting the fact that it was partial. I mean, it's not her fault. He did it, but at the same time, you agreed to go on this show with your wife, who is for herself, unfortunately, sir. And you can take that however you want to receive it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I mean, it is what it is. But she's
Le-
worried. She might have to sell her purses.
Bye.
She was like, am I going to have to sell my purses? Is this going to change our lifestyle? You just spend all of our money to start my company.
But like, also, like, how crazy is that? Like, none of those kids are really. Are those any of those kids really hers? None of those kids are hers.
No, she has two, I think, with him. Yeah, she's got two at
Right.
least.
Okay.
Because I don't think she had any with her ex-husband, but I don't remember. But I know she definitely has two smaller kids,
All right. Fair enough.
and he had some older kids because he had kids that are close to her age.
Oh yeah. Okay. Boom. That's what it was. All right. Fair enough. Boop. Bye. Um. Lisa and Heather. So Lisa's upset, which I don't know why the whole scene of her at her place bothered me for some reason. I don't know why. Her with that one-on-one with her assistant or whatever. I don't I don't know. I just did, and I want to tell you about it. But Heather's upset because Lisa, which this is just like, and the craziest part is like Lisa is so tone deaf that I would believe that she would not think that this would have upset Heather. Like I know that sounds crazy because
It doesn't.
it doesn't. Like I
It,
just know people like Lisa and they're so narcissistic. Like they just like
hell bent on being right or defending themselves. It's about me, 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 me.
yeah, like holding the ball, can't drop
Yeah.
it. Um and so whatever, Lisa tweeted out a screenshot of her texting Heather, "I hope your dad's all right," next to a screenshot of her dad's obituary. It's just like you can't make this up. You cannot make that up. Like, why would you?
How did you even think of it? Like,
Why
how
would
did
you
you?
search for that? Like, and then you
Because she
no
wanted to prove that she was right.
to the point that you went and looked for someone's father's death, and then you went and searched your text messages for your friend's father's death, and then you used PixArt and you put the pictures together on the collage, and then you opened up Instagram, and then you
Posted it,
before you put it
and you
in
did.
before you put it in PixArt, you cropped them, and then you
Yeah,
put them in the collage thing, and then you post it, and then you put it on Instagram, and then you posted it.
and it was all to prove that you were not insensitive and thoughtless. Yet in your actual action, you were insensitive and thoughtless as fuck.
You cannot make this up. That's
It
wild.
was amazing. It was amazing. Like who? It was amazing.
And again, I feel bad for the son because I think it's interesting. I think I brought this up last week. Like, it's almost like he has this little bit of resentment towards them. It's like he loves them
Yeah.
100%, but there's almost like this little like, yeah, you can tell me what you want, but I'm gonna do what I want because you've allowed him to feel as an equal
Mm-hmm.
at an age without working for it, but you made him believe that he worked for it. So I can't even be mad at him. I can't
Yeah.
even be mad at his energy. I mean, this is just his life. This is what you created. So when can I get mad at somebody with this type of mentality? When they move out on their own and they hit that bottom that you hit, and you wake
Yeah.
up and you either are doing the right thing or you continue down hitting the wall. So we'll see what happens to him. I mean, I pray for him because, I mean, I hope that the dad is just, he seems like he's got it together. She, and I think she's probably a wonderful mom. Do not get it twisted. I'm not saying anything
Love
about her
her
parenting,
kids. Her.
but cuckoo, lost in her own world, and you know what I mean? It's like almost like I do not think that he does drugs in any way, shape, or form. I do not think that. but it's almost like one of those parents where they think their son's so perfect and he's out like running doing crazy stuff. Not to that extent, but that's the type of woman she is. And I think he's trying to show her like, hey, I'm not the person that you want me to be. I want to be my own person. And she's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. This is my world, so you're going to be whoever the fuck I want you to be when you're around me. Thanks.
Oh no.
Psycho. So within all this stuff that's happening, Heather felt like, hey, I'm gonna start a choir. And she had auditions, and Jen was pissed that Angie was one of the 7 people who came to audition, and I would have been pissed too. You're my friend, and I literally just came to you. Now, okay, maybe you could argue she didn't have control if Angie showed up. Fair enough.
Should she have asked Angie to leave?
No, I think that's at what point it's like, all right, we gotta be grown people. This is why you want to start a choir is beyond me, but you want to do this. This is a
She
professional.
explained why. Some of
Beyond.
the happiest times in her life were singing in church in her choir, and she misses that community feeling and that worship,
So
and
go to
it matters.
church.
But she can't. She's excommunicated from her church.
From the
She'd have,
Mormon church.
yeah, so she'd have to find another church. But so she's making her own.
Girl, it's given false prophets. It's given false prophets. It's given Donda. Donda,
Oh,
Donda, 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 Donda. Next week, though, we see Jen goes off on Angie, as she should, and she goes off on Angie, and Heather's just sitting on the side quietly. But the gag of it all is, now, yes, I 1,000,000% say Heather should not ask Angie to leave. You know what I mean? You have no control who shows up to the audition. You have a professional, you know what I mean? Let her audition. Da-da. But girl, why are you sitting on her lap?
because they're friends.
I know, but Jen's supposed to be your friend. Jen's supposed to be your homegirl. And then you just found out, and it isn't like Jen's making like an assumption like, hey, I think your friend's husband created an Instagram.
But that's the other part, though. It's the husband. It wasn't Angie. Does Angie run her husband?
Yeah, because Angie said, literally looked at Heather, do you know my husband to be a bad guy? Well, first of all, you're asking your best friend to answer a question about your husband. Like, let's not. Doesn't seem like a valid source right now, especially when your husband called me telling me that he did create it.
So weird.
It's weird because we're talking about grown adults, and
yes,
if we removed these names out of it and replaced it with other names, it would sound like we were talking about high schoolers.
I mean, it literally, her husband's like Regina George starting a burn book for the Shaws. Like, what is happening? It's so weird.
And the craziest part is like Angie's whole thing was like, it wasn't even about you. It wasn't even, because apparently whatever the posts were about like Lisa or whatever.
But then why is it called?
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, look, Jen is crazy. Jen's crazy, but I'd be pissed about this too. Like, there's just no need for it.
I agree, and I like that she was saying, like, it's not like they said Jen Shah exposed or Jen exposed or whatever. Saying Shah's exposed exposes her whole family to this. And it sucks that, I mean, obviously she's the one that put her family in this position to begin with.
Right.
But it does kind of suck, like, that it is marring her entire family, not just her. And that's just not okay, because she's got teenage sons that are headed into adulthood. Like, that's just not right. It's just, which is also why, like, who is this man? And can we even call him a man? Like, doing this, like, what? Well, how do you have time? First of all, like, how do you have time? Y'all got kids, y'all got jobs, y'all got mortgages, y'all got car payments. How do you have time to put up a freaking Instagram page burning somebody else? Like, who? Why? What?
And honestly, like, Bravo should low key, because like I'm not impressed by the storyline at all. It's not it's tea because it's the first time we're seeing something like this, but like I really low key hope Bravo takes it a little serious in the sense of like we do not want to see these people next season. And
No.
as a show and a network, you should. We always joke about and talk about how the producers like, create storylines and how these people create storylines, whatever. But even to the fact of Robin's family fun day, I'll buy into the fact that her and Juan are at least whatever they're trying to do over the fact that now you are blatantly have these two random people on here that are not housewives creating drama to infiltrate to be on the show. I don't want that because then that opens the door up to a whole nother world of Pandora's box of Real Housewives.
Of randoms, not even
Exactly.
of randoms. Like, and if this man were some kind of like investigative journalist or something, and like,
Fine. Or a
fine.
social media manager or whatever. I don't fucking know, but
But the idea that you're just like a random person that knows these people that like decided one day, like, ooh, babe, I think I'm gonna put up an expose on the Shaw family. Like, it's just bizarre, and it doesn't fit, and it's lame.
it's like that's something that like a pedophile does. Like, what are you doing? Like, I just can't. I don't know. I just can't. Whatever. Courtney, where can everyone follow you?
I feel like we can't end on the pedophileness of it all. Like,
No, that's where we're gonna end with the fucking pedophiles. Because you know what, guys, this is serious. The world is fucking going crazy right now. Like it is just wild. People are dying. We're really out here. Like we're like there's about to be like the Hunger Games. Okay, so we're gonna leave it with pedophiles. Okay.
we're
And as a
emotional.
matter of fact, that's it. I'm ending the show right now. See you next week. Hope you liked it, and I hope you leave a fucking comment. Bye.